Good evening, I'm Ryan Bonazzo.
And I'm Catalina Gillies. As gun violence becomes more and more frequent throughout the city, Thunder Bay Police are investigating yet another shooting.
This one happened overnight on the city's south side. Officers with the Uniform Patrol Branch were called to a residential address in the 1500 block of Rankin Street around 3 o'clock this morning, following reports of multiple gunshots. Now, it doesn't appear that anyone was hit with any of the bullets, but there were bullet holes that could be seen on the side of a house in the area. Police Inspector Ryan Gibson describes what his team encountered when they arrived on the scene overnight.
And they identified a residence which had obviously been shot. Unfortunately, we weren't able to establish if there were any injuries or what had occurred at that time. As a result, we had to call out our tactical officers. This led to we set up our perimeters, and we were able to eventually make entry into the house and pull the persons out, and from that point secure the residence and turn the investigation over to our criminal investigations branch, who are currently following it up.
Meanwhile, an arrest has now been made in connection with a shooting last month on Cummings Street in which a male victim suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Police have charged 31-year-old Sabrina Sabarin with attempted murder with a firearm, 2 counts of forcible confinement, and robbery with a firearm. Detective Inspector John Fennell explains what led to the arrest.
Of course, researching that as well as a great deal of video in the area. So we were able to, in the early stages, be able to get some good leads that gave us the ability to follow them through. The investigation continued on to a point that we're able to identify a person.
Fennell says the investigation will continue until police are satisfied with all the evidence that they've collected.
One man is dead following a late-night collision on Oliver Road. Thunder Bay Police responded around 11:30 to a call that a pedestrian was struck by a vehicle near the Beckwith Road intersection. The adult pedestrian was transported to hospital, but later died from his injuries. The police traffic unit is conducting an investigation and is asking anyone with information to contact City Police or Crime Stoppers.
Fire investigators will not be able to determine a cause or origin of Monday night's massive fire at the abandoned Great West Timber Sawmill. Officials with Thunder Bay Fire Rescue say extensive damage will make it impossible to conduct a proper analysis. As a result, inspectors with the Ontario Fire Marshal's Office won't be attending the site. The size of the former planing mill that went up in flames, along with combustibles, were among the reasons the site was deemed unsafe to enter. Well, the Fire Marshal's Office has also clarified what happened with its probe of a similar large fire at the Great West site in June of 2015. The property owner failed to supply heavy equipment to remove the damaged buildings, which could have helped reveal a potential cause. As a result, the fire marshal terminated its investigation into that fire 6 years ago.
There are 2 new COVID-19 cases being reported today by the Thunder Bay District Health Unit. Both come from the local area. One is a close contact infection, while the other relates to travel outside of northwestern Ontario. There are now 21 active cases across the district, one more than yesterday. There are 2 new cases over in the Northwestern Health Unit, one in the Dryden Red Lake area and one in the Sioux Lookout area. That runs the NWHU's active case count to 5.
Ontario is pausing the next step of the province's reopening plan after an increase in COVID cases. The effective reproduction number and the percent positivity rate are also up. On November 15th, capacity limits were supposed to be lifted in remaining high-risk settings, but that step has been delayed at least 28 days beyond November 15th until mid-December.
Abundance of caution, we are pausing the next step of the plan to reopen Ontario and manage COVID-19 for the long term. This means that the planned lifting of capacity limits in remaining settings where proof of vaccination is required will not be moving ahead on November 15th.
The province's rolling 7-day average of COVID-19 cases now stands at 502, up from 379 at this point last week.
Spectators will soon be able to fill the stands at local high school indoor sporting events. The local school boards have reached an agreement to allow parents and others to attend high school basketball and volleyball games, just in time for the playoffs. The change comes into effect next Tuesday. Each student will be allowed 2 designated spectators, and for gyms with adequate seating capacity, more people will be allowed to attend. Visitors are asked to arrive no more than 30 minutes before start time and be patient as security staff check names off the visitor list. Athletics Director David Pino says they would have liked to bring spectators back earlier, but the boards wanted to be sure that they did their due diligence.
Some spikes in cases and some outbreaks where they've had to put these plans on the back burner. So we wanted to make sure that we were, it was well thought out and planned, and certainly we were trying to do it in as quick a time frame as we could because we knew parents wanted to be in there.
Spectators must comply with most normal regulations such as proof of vaccine, screening, and physical distance between family groups. Schools are held to a slightly different standard than most settings, meaning visitors will be required to wear a medical-grade mask.
Ontario NDP leader Andrea Horwath continued her visit to the Thunder Bay area today with a stop in Shuniah. Horwath got a tour of the scenic community and addressed the potential needs of seniors who live in smaller municipalities. Danielle Bain reports.
Provincial NDP leader Andrea Horwath visited Shuniah to get a first-hand look at the charming rural municipality that many seniors are forced to leave because of increased needs. She started at Crystal Beach Variety before sitting down with Mayor Wendy Landry and other councillors next door at the restaurant. After listening to concerns from Shuniah officials, Horwath held a press conference to announce her plan to help seniors age in place.
So our plans are not only around home care, but also around long-term care, getting the profits out, making sure every dime goes into the provision of the service and of the quality of life, smaller community-based models of care, which would help in a small community like Shuniah, for example.
Councillor Don Smith joined Horwath to highlight the tough reality that seniors in Shuniah have had to face as they age.
It's really unfair if you've spent your whole life, and scary to be quite honest with you, to have to pack up everything and just all of a sudden you're moving into a strange city, because even though it's close, it's Thunder Bay, it's still strange for some people, particularly the comfort zone is there, and that's not a nice way to age.
Horwath's plan includes an extra $1 billion for home care, 69,000 units of affordable housing, 30,000 new homes with supports, and 50,000 new long-term care beds in a new home-like model. Her vision is for smaller communities to have smaller retirement homes with as few as 10 seniors living there.
We know that these things can be done and need to be done. And in a community like this, we want to do everything we can to work with the local councils, for example, to make sure that seniors can stay and they don't have to move, for example, to a big city.
Horwath continued her day with a roundtable discussion with the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce and finished it off by meeting with families with children with autism to learn about the many issues and harsh realities they face. Danielle Bain, TVT News.
It's been 100 years since the tradition of wearing a poppy for Remembrance Day began, right here in Thunder Bay. And now Research TV has partnered with the History Department at Lakehead University to host a free Remembrance Day live stream tomorrow beginning at 10:30 in the morning. The live stream will showcase films, interviews, and ceremonies in both English and French, and it will pay special attention to Anna Garay, who came to Port Arthur in 1921 with her idea of using the poppy as a symbol of remembrance. The videos will include the local 100th anniversary ceremony, which took place in July and culminated with the unveiling of the plaque at the Prince Arthur Hotel. Local filmmaker Kelly Saxberg says the live stream will offer young people a chance to learn more about Canada's history in the trenches and hopes they can avoid horrors in the future.
Really important for those generations that follow to recognize the sacrifices and the legacy of war, so that we don't have war again. I mean, that's, to me, that's the most important thing, is if you don't know history, you're going to repeat it, and we don't want to repeat it. We're already in enough trouble as it is these days.
If you're unable to watch the event tomorrow, all of the films, Vignettes and archive footage from the Second World War can be found on the Research TV streaming service.
After 18 months of reconstruction, the grand opening of the redesigned Boulevard Lake Dam was celebrated with a ribbon-cutting ceremony this afternoon. The project features a brand new, wider walkway and seating area, along with several other system improvements. Alex Flood has the details.
The excitement was palpable at the Boulevard Lake Dam's grand opening, as locals and tourists will now have a much better recreational experience there. The $8.5 million project was necessary in order to repair and modernize the century-old structure, with a new public viewing area, festive lights, as well as a new widened walkway. The project received significant federal funding, and MP Patty Hajdu says she's relieved the dam can now operate more safely.
And the old dam was really very, very fragile, so there was a huge risk to the community. So having a strong federal partner with the ability to come to the table with significant amounts of money, that makes these projects go all that much more quickly.
It had reached end of life, I think is fair to say, and you get to a point where you're spending good money after bad. And so I think it made sense that we bit the bullet and made this one of the priority projects for the city.
Project engineer Mike Vogrig is thrilled with the look of the newly redesigned landmark, but as most major projects go, he says there is still some work to be done.
We'll be working on a project over the next year to get the gates automated and get them programmed. There's some lighting on the buttresses of the dam on the face showing Cumberland, so that lighting has been installed, but that has to get completed and programmed. So that'll be happening. Hopefully we'll have that done before Christmas.
It has been a journey. There's been some stops and starts, but we're here now. And it's open, and people are enjoying it.
Area residents can expect to see the dam lit up at night by the end of the weekend, and the festive lights Vogrig mentioned will add some extra flavor to the new structure for the holiday season. Alex Flood, TBT News.
The historic Eaton's building in Thunder Bay's downtown North Core has been brought back to life. A new multi-vendor market called Goods & Co. opened its doors this past weekend. The market occupies a 20,000 square foot section of the building at the corner of Red River and Court Streets. It has 25 permanent vendor spaces, pop-up shops, a common area, a fully functioning bar, and a small event space. The market is designed to showcase food, art, crafts, and other goods from a variety of local vendors while bringing a modern market to the downtown core. Goods & Co. owner Malin Hurley says she took inspiration from markets around the world, and she has lofty goals for the space.
I want it to be used all the time. I want this flow of people coming through the space all the time, so it feels energized and alive, and it's always something happening. So I think having the shops open by day and then we have, art shows or events and stuff at night, it just fully activates the space.
The market is open from 11 until 7 Wednesday to Friday and on 10 to 4 on weekends.
Well, and if you missed any of our local stories or just want to see them again, they'll all be posted to our website, tvnewswatch.com, a little later this evening. Well, Fiona, not a bad day out there, but